Hello tribe, and welcome to this other video on concepts of Buddhism. And there's a reason why I have been selecting certain words or concepts that are important to understand this overview of Buddhism in general, or non-duality, because these are terms that have been used over time to explain the nature of reality. And of course, with Buddhism and non-duality, we're concerned with the understanding of the self, the knowing of the self, or what we know in the law of one, the knowing of the creator within ourselves. So far in this series, we have gone through the exploration of certain concepts like avidya and anatman and anitya and dukkha. So we have kind of painted the way in which we understand that there is no permanent reality that we're exploring. And this is key because the word today is Trishna, which translates loosely into desire or thirst. That's what seems to be the root of the word. In English, thirst seems to come from that same root in etymology. So it's you can already see one of the things that goes with Buddhism a lot is to just check in what does it really mean? What is it that it's inciting in ourselves to see that we do and we have. So in this case, this thirst or this desire, this wanting to do something or to become something or to accomplish something, it's a sort of climbing an ice wall, with your bare hands, and finding that as you touch it, it just keeps sliding off, or you keep sliding off. You try to do this and you can't accomplish anything because Trishna, and I like Alan Watts' description of this as clinging. You're trying to cling into something that doesn't exist. And that's because the world actually is just an illusion, meaning that there's nothing tangible here. There's nothing that you can hold on to because everything is constantly changing. That is the nature of impermanence of the world. So if we see this, if we can understand this, if we can agree to this, if we can see it, then the whole purpose of wanting something becomes pointless. And so you can see that what we are is simply a point of view of what's already happening. And yes, we can get involved into wanting things. This is actually the way in which we have created everything in society, if you think about it. So it's not that Trishna is a bad thing. It's just that it's an element of human ignorance to believe that we can accomplish things. So let me give you an example that has been going on for millennia. The idea of family legacy. That is that the only thing that survives is the name, so we monarchs must prevail at all costs. And so this is trying to cling into something that is futile. The name doesn't mean anything. And because of that, yes, we have created marvelous empires or disastrous empires, depending on what your point of view is. But that is a way of trying to cling into life, to make a permanent stance here on earth. And so we always want to leave our little legacy. We want something to just prevail at all costs, you see. So wanting these things it's a natural thing that creates society, that creates all kinds of philosophies and sciences and all shenanigans that happens in institutional behaviors, and everything that we create in our world is because we have a sort of desire for something. But in the deep analysis of reality, we see that, well, there's never never something to cling onto or to have. You cannot ever have anything. Everything is always just changing. And so even your perspective is changing on something. And so you say that you change. But these are just simple views of the nature of reality. So see, Trishna, or desire, it's not something bad. It's not something that it's taken away from you. It's just, it is what it is. And how you play with it, well, that's up to you. You know, it depends on how you want to see it, how you want to get involved in this world. But somebody who is ignorant doesn't know this, and it suffers because of it. So you see, suffering is attached to Trishna. Dukkha is a result of Trishna. Suffering is a result of desire, of wanting things. And this is very liberating, because once you know that you cannot hold on to anything, you cannot try to accomplish anything, because once you do, it's gone. You see, here's another example of how desire shows us that we don't own anything, that we can't have anything. We extrapolate our happiness into something that we desire. Imagine it's a new electronic, the new model of your phone that you so love. But all you're doing is just investing your well-being, your peace, your happiness into this one object. So you're going to go out of your way to get this. And now this is the process of feeling that you need this. That something is missing. You're lacking something. And in this process of lack, of looking for it, you feel this deep desire. And so the suffering is this process. Suffering has different intensities, if you will. So when you go and finally get this object, finally arrives, you get the money, you buy it, it comes home, and you get it. That moment, that's a moment of happiness, you call it. I'm finally happy with this. And depending on how much you invested in your desire to this, you're going to see that the peak happiness is going to be when you get the item. From there on, it's just going to go downhill, because your happiness was always yours and you just simply invested in the object. So you see how Trishna works? It's a sort of suffering that we get into voluntarily, and we get into it and say, well, here's where my happiness lies, in this desire of things. But once you get it, it's never enough. And you think, I need something else now, because that moment of happiness just lasted a couple of hours, a day, a week perhaps, depending on how long you invest in this. But you see, it always goes away. Now, it's not the happiness that is going away. In fact, the moment of happiness is the moment in which your sense of lack goes away. So the problem was not having an item or an object. It was actually wanting to have the object. That is the cause of suffering. Wanting, desire, thirst for life, for things in life. And so if you follow this, you see that your investment in objective reality is always causing you that desire, it's causing your suffering. Now, when I say objective reality, this also goes to the abstract world, because most people in the spiritual world, they extrapolate their own desires for things in the material world, and because they have become spiritual, now this object is no longer material, but it is an abstract thing. It's a sort of evolution of soul, of service, and of doing good things, and so on. That's an object of desire as well. And this is part of the cycle of samsara. You see, the wheel of life has 6 realms. And those 6 realms go from the angelic to the infernal, to the demonic ones. You see? So, from the devas to the narakas, you go in this process of wanting things, of holding on to things, but reality is impermanent. So the longer you hold on to something, it's going to disappear. You see? And so exploring reality this way shows you that your desires are the cause of your suffering. It doesn't mean that desire is a good or a bad thing. It just simply is. It's a tool. It's a way in which we can enjoy reality, if you will, but at least knowing what the mechanism of your mind is. What does it want? What the nature of reality also is. And so Trishna is something that is very prevalent in our societies today. Why? Because everybody has been extrapolating their happiness, their need for things, in their need for things. Because we think that when we accomplish that is when I'm going to be happy. This goes from items like I have simplistically exemplified, all the way to careers and families and the house and the boats in the bay or whatever it is that we're seeking, which doesn't mean to have these things are bad, obviously, but it is to invest in something in the future, something that may come in and actually satisfy your needs. That's what's going to bring you happiness. In the process, you realize that you spend your whole life seeking for things that were never giving you anything. At some point, yes, they brought the sense of life to nothing, to a standstill, but it only takes a discrete amount of time before you simply go back to seeking, looking for something. And even in the spiritual seeking, this becomes an object, an objective. We must achieve something. I must achieve gnosis. I must achieve enlightenment. I, the separate self, must find that which is going to give me ultimate happiness, nirvana. You see? So we're always extending our need to something else that simply doesn't exist. It's just an abstract view of the world. We look into reality and all we're seeing is an illusion. You see, in the analysis of this ultimate reality, what you see is that what you're projecting from your mind is everything. So why even want to have things? And I don't mean this into having what you have. What you have is what you need. But wanting to have more things for you to be happy. What you have is what you need because you are projecting all of this. And so learn to live with it. And that's going to make your happiness shine. You don't find happiness in what you already have. You let it shine because that's what you are. You are peace, your happiness, your love. You are love for every single thing that exists. So it's only a matter of realizing that the nature of reality is this. And all we need to do is just get with it. That's simple. Nothing too complicated. Buddhism and non-duality is the simplest thing you will ever find. And that's why I love it. So I think that's all I have to say about Trishna. And this completes a lot what it is, this process of ignorance of reality, of the nature of reality. And it's our ignoring of these key elements of the human mind that creates all the problems in our world, because we really think that we need to accomplish something. And so that's not the case, because you already are all of this. So once again, as a conclusion, desire is not a bad thing. Ignorance of the outcome of desire is a bad thing, if you can call it that, simply because it's not letting you, and I wouldn't even say bad thing, but just an undesirable outcome, and we don't know it. So as long as we keep informing ourselves with the nature of reality, it's again a matter of choice. And once you know, there is no choice anymore. There's just what we call right view or right selection of things. And that's what simply happens. So I hope you like this. Leave me a comment if you have any questions about it. I would love to talk about it because I love talking about non-duality. And I'm trying to make it, you can find concepts or explanations of these concepts all over the internet, especially here on YouTube, but I just wanted to give it my spin, and I hope that made sense to you, my family, my people here. So thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next video.